Mega Lopunny EX and Mega Sharpedo EX are in Phantasmal Flames. Today we're breaking down their deck list and seeing how they stack up in gameplay, starting with Mega Sharpedo. The focus of this deck is going to be the Hungry Jaw attack on the Mega Sharpedo that does 120 damage plus 150 if it has any damage counters on it for 2 Darkness Energy. This is going to be pretty easy to meet with the Toxtricity's bad upper ability that attaches a Dark Energy from the deck to a Darkness Pokemon on the bench and puts 2 damage counters on it. To help with the damage output, we have the Monkey Dory that can move some damage counters around, plus the Pecharunt that can poison the Sharpedo and put Binding Mochi to add an additional 40 damage. The Pecharunt EX can also be used as a late game attacker. For 2 darkness, it does 60 damage for each prize card your opponent's already taken. So after 5 prize cards, it's hitting for 300 for just the 2 energy. Pretty good. Then we have the Twilight Masquerade Brute Bonnet that's just being used as a single prize attacker that can take out things like Crustle if we need to. For the supporter lineup, we have 4 Arven, 4 Lilies, 2 Iono, 2 Balls. Pretty straightforward. We have 3 Poffin, 3 Nest Ball. We're playing that spread because we want to be able to get our Monkey Dories and our Pecharunt EX. Then we have the Risky Ruin Stadium, which, while it won't damage most of our Pokemon besides the Monkey Dory and Tatsugiri, it'll soften up our opponent's Pokemon to help with Mega Sharpedo's low damage output. Then we have 10 Darkness Energy. This is to help because Toxtricity only accelerates from the deck, so we want to make sure that we have enough fighting energy in the deck to make that ability happen at all times. Now onto the Mega Lopunny deck. This deck is centered around the Mega Lopunny EX that for 1 energy has the Gale Thrust attack that does 60 damage plus 170 if it moved off the bench that turn, so 230 for 1 energy is going to be pretty solid damage output. Then to help with mobility, we have the Dunsparce line that can get out of the active easily while drawing us some cards. We have the Linoon that also comes out in Phantasmal Flames that if you have an EX in the active, it can be moved to the active. With the Air Balloon, that can get it back to the bench pretty easily, or we can just use Jet Energy. To help set up all these colorless Pokemon, we have the 2 Fan Rotom, which can also act as a pretty good attacker for 70 for 1 energy as long as we have a Stadium in play. And to help with the damage output, we have a heavy Dusknoir lineup to help us reach up to 360 with the Dusknoir plus Lopunny attack. Then for the supporters, we have 4 Hilda. This is going to let us grab our Jet Energy when we need it, or our Enriching Energy as our A-Spec on turns that we don't need to attach an energy necessarily. Then we have 2 Iono, and then 2 of the new Dawn supporter card. This card grabs 1 of each stage Pokemon, so we can grab a basic stage 1 and a stage 2, Dusknoir being the only stage 2 in this deck. Then we have 2 Balls, 2 Turo. Then we have our pretty standard setup cards, Poffin, Ultra Ball. Got the counter catcher since we have the heavy Dusknoir line. 2 Rare Candy just to take advantage of that Dusknoir, Sacred Ash to recycle, Air Balloon was for the Linoon to be able to move around easily. Counter Gain allows us to be able to attach Enriching Energy to the Dunsparce and still attack that turn if we use the Dusknoir ability. Then we have Artisan to keep putting Dunsparces in play in Duskulls, 4 Jet to help with the mobility. Then I'm playing 2 Reversal Energies. These could be just about any energy, but I went with Reversal because it does let the Dusknoir attack, doing 150 damage. This could potentially give you some help with decks like Crustle, while still being 1 energy for the Lopunny if we need to use it to attack. Now into the gameplay. I'm going to be playing the Lopunny deck, and I start the Fan Rotom and use that Fan Call ability to find 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less. The Linoon that's in this deck also has 100 HP, so we are able to find that if we want to. It looks like I have a Baneri in hand, so I'm going to be focusing on the Dunsparce and potentially Zigzagoon here, and that's what I get. 2 to Dunsparce and a Zigzagoon. I play down the Artisan, go ahead and use it, get the Duskull onto the bench, and bench the Baneri from hand, shuffle up, and pass to John. He started with the Toxel, which has the Call for Family attack. He benches a Carvanha and a Monkey Dory. He's going to use the Artisan to find another non-rule box basic. He's going to go ahead and get Carvanha off of that. And then he's going to be able to use that Call for Family attack to get 2 more basics, filling up his bench. There he gets the Pecharunt and another Toxel. I'm going to shuffle his deck before drawing for turn. And I'm going to go ahead and go Rare Candy, Dusknoir, evolve into a Dunsparce. And now I just need an energy to be able to attack with this Fan Rotom. I'm going to use the Runaway Draw ability, shuffling the Dunsparce into the deck after drawing 3 cards. Since I opened up a bench space, I'm going to use the Artisan to get the Duskull into play. And then I have another Dunsparce in hand, so I evolve the other Dunsparce. Then I'm going to pop the Toxel on the bench. We both take a prize card. I'm going to attach the reversal energy. Since it's not an evolution, it's just going to count as one energy, but that takes out the Toxel, and that's going to completely cut off his energy acceleration for this game. He promotes the Carvana, then he uses Artisan. He is going to find another Toxel from deck. He plays 3 copies, as we saw in the earlier deck list. It's going to be way harder for him to set it up, so he plays the Risky Ruins, bumps my Artisan. Now he's going to try to think what he should do here. If he gets into the Mega Sharpedo, it does have the Greedy Fang attack that does 70 for 1 energy and draws 2 cards. So it's just going to depend on if he can find that or not. He's going to put Dark Energy on the Monkey Dory and pass, as there's no damage in play to move around with the Adrenabrain ability. I start my turn by doing the Runaway draw 3 cards, and then shuffle the Dunsparce into the deck. And here I have the Enriching Energy in hand. That's my A-spec of choice. That when you attach it for turn, you draw 4 cards. Normally you want to attach it to the Dunsparce so that you can shuffle it back into the deck and keep using it with Hilda. I go ahead and evolve the Dusclops into Dusclops, and I attach the Enriching Energy to the Baneri on the bench since I wasn't able to find a Dunsparce. I end up drawing one, putting it into play. It takes 20 damage because of the Risky Ruins Stadium. And I'm just going to take the knockout on the Carvana. He promotes another Carvana and plays Buddy Buddy Poffin. He is out of Toxel, but there is one more Carvana in the deck. So I think this is going to be the same thing where he's really just needing to find a Mega Sharpedo, but he does put down Tatsugiri. And here comes the Toxtricity, which has that bad upper ability that can accelerate Dark Energy straight from the deck, putting damage counter on the Pokemon, which can then be moved with the Monkey Dory if he wants. He's thinking about where to put it. The Petron is a pretty good attacker, but only doing 180 right now. So he decides to go ahead and put it on the Carvana, and it takes 20 damage because of that ability. He moves it over to my Baneri on the bench. I'm playing 70 HP Baneri, so that's going to put it at 50. But he leaves a 70 HP Pokemon in the active, so this Fan Rotom can still take another prize card. I evolve into the Dunsparce, and I go ahead and use that Runaway draw, drawing 3 cards and shuffling up. And right here, I'm trying to figure out a play. I have Boss in hand, but I don't have access to the Lopunny, so I'm not able to get that Petulant knockout this turn yet. So I'm considering, I go ahead and use the Dusknoir, pop the Carvana, because I'm thinking about taking double Carvana, but off the prize cards, I find the Ultra Ball. That's going to get me the Lopunny. I can retreat into it and boss up the Petulant to take the last 2 prizes. So game 2, John chooses second. I start the free retreat Dunsparce, and he starts Tatsugiri. I'm going to start with Buddy Buddy Poffin, which is always nice to find a Duskull and a Fan Rotom. Then use the Fan Rotom to find the rest of your basics. So with that, I'm going to find the Zigzagoon, Dunsparce, and I get the Linoon to add to hand. And then I bench a Baneri from hand and pass the turn, fully set up. John draws for turn, and he's going to start by putting the Risky Ruins Stadium into play. He doesn't have any other Pokemon in his hand to really put down, so he's going to use that to attract customers, and he finds the Lilies here, which is going to let him shuffle and get a whole brand new 8 cards, and hopefully find something a little bit better. So we're going to shuffle up and see what he finds here. He needs to get down some Pokemon. There's 2 Toxel. He realized he only drew the 6 cards, so he draws 2 more. And there's Carvana and a Nest Ball. He's going to go ahead and get the Petulant in play. It's a pretty big part of the deck, being able to, where Toxtricity only accelerates to bench Pokemon, the Petulant can be a big deal getting them to the active when you need to attack with them. My turn, I evolve into the Linoon and into the Lopunny EX, and I play Hilda, finding a Evolution and an Energy. So sometimes you can take the Enriching Energy, and sometimes you just need the Jet Energy to move. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here. I take a Reversal and the Dusclops just to go ahead and evolve up, and I put the damage onto the Petulant. This is because I want to use Counter Catcher is the reason that I'm popping the Duskull early. That way I can Counter Catcher his only Carvana so that he can't get into Sharpedo next turn and just evolve, go into the retreat into the Fan Rotom. And I put the reversal energy on it just to take this knockout. So he's going to promote the Tatsugiri here so that he can use that attract customer's ability next turn. So he draws for turn, uses the attract customers, and doesn't find a supporter. So he's just going to play the lilies from hand. And since I use the Dusknoir, he is only going to get to draw 6 cards now. He does find a Carvana there and a Monkey Dory. And he's going to put the energy on the Monkey Dory and go ahead and move damage over to my Lopunny. The Monkey Dory picked up damage because of the risky ruins. My turn, I'm going to go ahead and go Enriching Energy on the Dunsparce. Evolve into the Dunsparce, draw 3 more cards, so that's 7 cards drawn here. Ultra Ball, and see the hand gets pretty big really quick with this deck, so it can make it pretty hard. I throw away a Turo and another Ultra Ball to get another Dunsparce into play. This Fan Rotom can take the knockout on this Carvana that I'm going to boss up, so he's still not going to have Sharpedo access. He promotes the Tatsugiri again and plays Buddy Buddy Poffin, but the last Carvana is prized, so he's going to have to come up with a little more creative gameplay here. He's going to put down the last Toxel, so now he needs to find some Toxtricity to start evolving these guys. So here comes the Tatsugiri, looking at the top 6 cards of the deck. And he's thinking if he wants to take the supporter or not. Its boss's orders was his only option, so he go ahead and grabs it. And then he moves some damage over to the Lopunny and passes. On my turn, I'm going to go ahead and use that runaway draw to draw 3 cards again. Artisan to bump his stadium, and I go ahead and use that to get a Duskull into play. Another thing of note, the Linoon also has an attack for 1 energy that does 70 damage, which can be pretty useful. I'm going to jet up the Lopunny though here and boss up the Pecharunt so that I can take 2 prizes. Since the Gale Thrust is going to do 230 damage. That takes me down to 2 prize cards remaining. John promotes the Tatsugiri. Starts with that attract customers. There's an Iono and a Lilies. He's going to take the Iono. He's going to need that to try to claw his way back in this game. So that's going to put me down to 2 cards in hand. He's going to go ahead and just use my Artisan to get another Monkey Dory into play. His Tatsugiri's kind of safe. The Lopunny's only doing 60 unless I find a way to move it again. He doesn't have an energy in hand to go ahead and attach to this Monkey Dory, so he's just going to pass the turn. And on my turn, I'm looking over everything, and there's no way for me to take 2 prizes after being Iono'd. So I'm just going to have to use the Artisan to help set up a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and put another Dunsparce into play, but then I'm going to be forced to manually retreat this Lopunny and just take a knockout with the Fan Rotom, going down to 1 prize card. John promotes the Monkey Dory. Right here, he's considering retreating, but I convince him to play it out because I don't think it's quite over yet. He plays the Ultra Ball. This is going to help him find Toxtricity and finally get some energy and potentially start taking some attacks in this game. He goes ahead and uses the first Toxtricity ability, and then he just moves the 20 damage over to my Lopunny on the bench. Then he has to pass the turn. I'm still suffering from that Iono where I don't have any energy to really do anything, so the Fan Rotom's just going to go ahead and punch 70. He's going to move the damage back over to Lopunny, 30 of it, and then he's considering if he should retreat or not. He's going to use the Toxtricity first because it needs to be on the bench to be able to get that energy. That puts 20 damage on it. Then he's going to play Secret Box, throwing away his whole hand to find 1 supporter, 1 item, 1 tool, and a stadium. So he's going to get Iono, so this is going to put me into a lower hand size. Now, one thing to consider when you Iono your opponent to 1, I haven't had the energy that I've needed to win, so the Iono's technically going to put my hand to the bottom of the deck and then give me a better chance at finding that energy because I'm going to draw 1 card plus my card for turn. But I still don't think that this is a bad play with the position that he's in. So he's going to get the Risky Ruin. He goes ahead and puts Binding Mochi onto the Toxtricity and plays the Iono. He's going to draw 5 cards. He attaches for turn to the Toxtricity. And then he's going to retreat the Monkey Dory. And here we're going to... he uses the Pecharunt to move it up so that he doesn't have to burn the energy. That is going to poison the Toxtricity. And he finally takes out this Fan Rotom. And I still haven't found an energy. Right here I use Artisan, but it technically should be in the discard pile because of the Risky Ruins. I do end up failing it. There might be an Artisan in my hand. I can't tell. Right here, I think I should have retreated the free retreat Dunsparce. That way, in case if he took a knockout, I could move it up and have the mobility of it. But I don't retreat it, and he's just going to start his turn. He's going to think about where he wants to put his energy for turn. He considers the Toxtricity, then he's considering this Pecharunt. So he attaches it to the Pecharunt, and he's going to use the Toxtricity to get another Dark Energy from the deck, putting 20 damage on the Pecharunt. He just doesn't have Boss's Orders, and there's no counter catcher in the deck, so he's just going to have to take the knockout on the active Dunsparce. So I promote the Lopunny, and here I find Dawn. That's going to get me a basic, a stage 1, and a stage 2. Right here, the Dunsparce is what I'm considering, or Duskull. I go with Dusknoir, Dunsparce, and Fan Rotom. That way I can draw 3 cards off this, the Dunsparce. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Draw 3 cards. And right here, I think is where we're going to realize the Artisan shouldn't be in play. But I have the other copy in hand at this point, so we're going to be able to just fix that. I'll put the current one into the discard pile and then put his Risky Ruins in play by playing the Artisan out of my hand. And we realize this because I start putting the damage counters after I've done the Artisan. So we just take the damage counters off and realize I would have just played the one from hand to make it work. And I still don't have an energy, so I'm just going to use the Linoon to get into the active with its own ability and pass the turn. He's going to play Ultra Ball, throwing away Mega Sharpedo and Arven to find the last Toxtricity here. So he can get 3 Dark Energy from the deck. He's going to put them all on the same Toxtricity. That way he'll put 60 damage counters on it, or 6 damage counters on it, and be able to use those, manually attach return to the Monkey Dory, and then move all 6 of those to the Duskull on my bench, taking that knockout and a prize card. Then his active Toxtricity can take the knockout on the Linoon. Now we're tied 1-1. So a game that he was about to concede, he's in a really good spot now. And on my turn, though, I do have Blood Moon Ursaluna, Turo to the active to take the knockout. Really great game. I'm glad that John didn't concede early because he almost came back and won that game. And I think that's a valuable skill in the Pokemon TCG is to really just take the time to try to play to your outs and win the game. Good luck and have fun.